I'm joined today with Anna Kaplan, Executive Director at Graycliff. Anna, thanks so much for taking the time out of what we were just talking about, our busy lives, to join today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So we were just chatting about my experience with this conversation series up until this point has really been all about the perspective of like corporate business leaders. And I was really excited to chat with you to really get your perspective running a cultural nonprofit that thrives off of having, visitors and interacting with the public when that portion of our kind of our life has been so disrupted. So how are things going for you?
They are going as well as they can. This has been a really strange moment for me to join the organization. I just joined this past December. And when I joined, the conversation was, oh, this is great because it's the downtime. We're seasonal. So our season really starts in the spring and then amps up over the summer. The property was always a summer property, so it's best enjoyed in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was built for this family, the Martins, to be their summer retreat on the lake. Their city home is the Darwin Martin House. And I have yet to experience a true season.
Mm-hmm.
But the property is coming to life, and I fully understand why it's a summer property. The picking garden right now, which is this, garden of flowers, is just all of a sudden overnight came alive. And it's been magical for me to be able to have the property to myself and really get to know it. But I can't wait to have visitors again. And we are taking all the necessary steps to make that happen. We're hopeful that we'll be doing that by early August.
Mm-hmm.
But things are going pretty well. I've been focusing on virtual interactions with the space, something that the organization hadn't really done before. And so that's been exciting because we've been putting content out there that our followers hadn't seen before. And we've also amassed a much larger following. So we've been building these assets in this truly downtime now that are going to benefit the organization significantly moving forward.
That's so great to hear. I think that it maybe has been one of the benefits of this whole crisis is forced leaders like you to kind of rethink what engagement means and how they can connect with followers. And, I was talking with John Baldo, the president of Select One and a board member at Graycliff, who connected both of us. And he just speaks so highly of your ability to just get things done, your resourcefulness. And one of the things he had mentioned is how you've been able to build the Instagram following in so exponentially. And it sounds like you've done that through just rethinking how you connect with your followers. So kind of what other things are you thinking about, and what other skills have you applied to this new position?
Well, something I also want to mention too is that I've been collaborating with other colleagues, and that's been huge for me personally to build these relationships, and also for our virtual presence. And that's definitely a skill set that I am bringing to the table from my past life. I mean, I love collaboration and engagement on that level. I've been working with the other Wright sites to do these weekly video swaps called Wright Virtual Visits. That's a hashtag. And so each week I share a very brief tour of a portion of a Wright site, and then that same site shares the tour that I have created for them. And I also recently participated in a Pecha Kucha event. I don't know if you're familiar with that format.
I'm not.
It's actually it's spelled like it would be pronounced Pecha Kucha, but the correct pronunciation is more like Pecha Kucha.
Oh. Okay, Pecha Kucha.
And it's a format, a very specific format where you have 20 slides and 20 seconds per slide to talk about them. And so it ends up being about 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
Huh.
And so I participated in one of these events with my Wright colleagues, and we had 1,500 people join into the Zoom to watch us, and it was a lot of fun. And through Zoom, I've been getting to know these people who are important for our organization. And it's important to compare notes, and not just about what we're experiencing now, but about what we deal with our property in a normal year. And things like research and trying to find these connections between the historical points of our the architectural details and making these comparisons. It's really it's furthering the research, basically.
Yeah.
In this more creative way.
That's so great. One of the things I want to kind of go back to and touch on, because I think it will resonate with maybe people who are at this point, maybe thinking about how they can pivot their careers a little bit or translate previous experience to position themselves well for a new role. And you said, I know you were a curator, you had your own gallery, I believe, and this is your first, I think, foray into actually leading as an executive director. So how have you been able to translate previous experience effectively to lead Graycliff during this time?
Well, my entrepreneurial skills have been really important. Just the thinking about running a cultural organization like a business and having that mindset is important. And especially during this time when our major revenue streams are paralyzed.
Yeah.
So I use that, on a daily basis. And even things like knowing my way around QuickBooks. I feel really strongly, no matter how large your organization is, I mean, this happens to be a small organization, but no matter how large it becomes, I think it's very important for who's ever leading the organization, they should know the ins and outs of everything. So I got right in there into QuickBooks, for example, and have helped to restructure our chart of accounts. And that's something this is a skill set that I developed when I was the sole employee of an organization, and I was forced to be involved in every single aspect. And now that I have a staff, and I'm not talking about micromanaging, I'm talking about just being aware of how things operate in order to make it as efficient and effective as possible. And it helps problem solve, it helps with everything. So that's been the major thing that I'm bringing to the table from the past.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. And I think for leaders now who are thinking, or people within organizations who are going, their leaders thinking, how can I add more value and how can I stay relevant when our organizations are changing so much? That perspective on just like being curious and applying skills that may not specifically have been on the job description could be a really thoughtful way of doing that. So you touched on another point that I really wanted your perspective on is just in what ways do you see the fundraising landscape and the programming landscape changing into the future, and what are you thinking about that?
Well, we've made the decision to pivot our two major fundraisers into virtual space. And this is something that is a reaction to the current situation, but I do think that it's going to be valuable down the road as well. And I'm glad that I'm getting to know it now because I see it being very useful in the future. So the event that I'm working on right now is actually it's live. And it's called Let the Sun Shine In. It's a virtual solstice celebration. The solstice is on Saturday, and not tomorrow, a week from Saturday, and June 20th. And Graycliff was designed so that there's this one corner window that Frank Lloyd Wright designed. And on the solstice, that window perfectly frames the sunset. So this is something that only happens once a year. And this year we can't invite our guests out, but I wanted to translate that experience and try to deliver it to you to be able to experience from the comfort of your home. And so we've collaborated with a Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra, and there'll be a quartet of BPO musicians performing in the house.
Oh, wow.
A 15-minute piece, and we're producing a film. So they're gonna perform as the sun sets, and then ticket holders to this event will receive a link to that video. And then there's also a silent auction that happens to include really excellent fine art, and that's directly relates to what I was doing before this.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that. John has shared that, and I've taken a look at it. It looks like a really really creative.
Well, what's so great about it too is that there's only so many people that we could get on the property to see this, especially inside the house. And this will be, I mean, it can't replace being on site during this, but there's going to be some people that support this and view it that could never come to Graycliff.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I mean, maybe, they're just too far away that this will never, enter their orbit in real space. So we can have a much broader reach with events like this. And so it's something that I intend to do well after we're through this. I will start to diversify with obviously physical events, but this isn't the applications are, they're numerous. For example, we could do a virtual lecture and with a scholar who is not in Buffalo. So we don't have to incur that expense of bringing that person to Buffalo, but we can still create this academic dialogue that we can then share with a broader audience. So this is a direction I wouldn't have been thinking if it weren't for the current COVID situation. But so I see myself utilizing these tools far beyond.
Yeah, that translates so well and has such application beyond just the nonprofit and arts and culture space. When you think about employers who are trying to access, hard to find talent that may just not be local in their city, they now have like just this new framework of engaging with a talent pool remotely. So that's really interesting. Have you noticed, Anna, at all that there's been more propensity maybe to support? And I ask because I have felt that even despite maybe the financial constriction and economic uncertainty, I felt like maybe our whole situation has humanized us in a bit and made us just want to support each other more. And I have found myself donating, albeit maybe in smaller chunks, to more organizations because I feel like now is such a time that we need to help each other.
Yeah, I completely agree. People are being very generous, and I've been impressed. It hasn't been, for our organization, the generosity from individual donors has not replaced the revenue lost from admissions and retail sales.
Sure.
But it's definitely helping to fortify the organization, and it's building relationships. We have for sure increased our number of individual donors, and that's going to really help the organization far into the future. That's
really good to hear. Really good to hear. Well, Anna, I can clearly see why John has sung your praises for the last several months. It's just you're so down to earth, relatable, and it sounds like a huge asset to Graycliff. So I wish you all the best as you charge forward and continue to be creative with how to keep Graycliff on the map, and I know you will. So thank you so much for your time today. For our viewers out there, in our next edition, we'll be shifting a little bit and talking tech with Mike Canizeri of Torch, who is a Senior Director of Tech Operations, and get his perspective on how all this is affecting the tech world. So Anna, thanks again. And
thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
I think, okay. Okay, we stopped recording. So Anna, thanks so much. That was a great conversation. Sorry for the technical snafus up there, but
No problem.
really nice to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is. I was telling John, so I'm part of Leadership Buffalo this year, and
Oh, great.
one of the days focus is on cultural events and Buffalo historic landmarks, and they talk obviously a lot about the Frank Lloyd Wright properties. But your point about the virtual tours and engaging people that normally never would have, like just thinking about that has like encouraged me to just learn about places that maybe I would never get to Derby, New York, because I live in Lewiston. Like, I think that's kind of an exciting thing that's happening. So,
well, it's hard. It's interesting because there's a balance. In the beginning, I made the decision. I felt like I had to make the decision that I never wanted to put like a full 1 hour or greater than that, an actual tour out there in the world. That didn't feel right. So I wanted to do these little snippets in order so no one feels that they have actually seen the place. But
it doesn't replace,
right. But I think there's so many people, in this area that have never heard of Graycliff.
I know.
And for them to just see like a picture of the garden or the house and it looking amazing, it next time they drive by, or maybe they probably won't drive by. Next time they see something about it, they'll go out of their way to come find us. And another thing is that, this whole Frank Lloyd Wright world is totally new to me. And it is a group of very intense, passionate people. And they have, critiqued my virtual visits. Every week. I try to separate myself from it, but I'm just hearing through other people that it's been very, very positive. But then I made the mistake. I don't think it's a mistake, but I did ruffle some feathers by describing a Frank Lloyd Wright's plan for a part of the property. I said, it was like a late 1920s infinity pool. And that made people very angry. They were like, it is not an infinity pool. But I was trying to explain, and I stick by my comment, but I was trying to explain that he was extending the line of the water to connect to the lake. And if you've ever been in an infinity pool
that's exactly what it looks like.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of interesting, and I've been sensing, and I knew this just like through conversations initially, and right away this kind of came out, we from doing research on how the organization grew. But in the beginning, in the late 90s, there was a huge amount of work done to just remedy the image of Graycliff, because a lot of people felt like it was a throwaway Frank Lloyd Wright and that it didn't deserve to be saved, that it should just be raised and developed, and so the Graycliff Conservancy, it wasn't only, raising money to buy the property, it was trying to communicate that this is a worthwhile property. And I think, and I still feel like in the Wright world that feeling lingers, especially now with the, we are about to launch a capital campaign for a new visitor center. And there is a subsect of people who are saying, why do you need a visitor center? Your property is not worthwhile. And I feel that this moment and the content that we're putting out there is helping to convince people that this is a worthwhile property. Because from what I have heard, and I can totally understand why this would happen, but any naysayers, once you get them to the physical property, their mind has changed because they see how amazing it is. And they feel the energy and they experience it, in a bodily way, the design. And obviously the majority of these people won't ever do that, but now they can at least see the images and the video that we're out there, and maybe think, oh wait, it actually
might be worth it.
Was amazing. And because we're putting it side by side with the other Wright sites, so they can say, oh, look, that detail here is really similar to, the Willie House. And, we think highly of the Willie House, and, it's like,
crazy. It's a whole
Yeah,
whole new
that's
world
been
that
interesting, but I really think it's been worthwhile. All of this has only served to fortify the organization for the long
good.
run. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I know I've absorbed a lot through John about just the beauty of the place and the property, and the work you're doing to promote it. So it was great talking with you, Anna. Good luck with everything in all areas of your life. Good luck with the kids. Yeah, and the kids, and hopefully when things do reopen, I'm gonna make a point to get out there and bring the family for a picnic.
Yeah, please let me know.
I will. Awesome. All right. Take care. Have a great rest of the day.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
You too. And there, I'll let you.